Today we will study about the properties of metals and non-metals. We have studied it, most of the properties you are aware about that. Let us go about the physical properties. All metals are solid except that of mercury, which is liquid at room temperature. Bromine is the only liquid non-metal. The periodic table or the most of the elements, around 80% of the metals are metals. 80% of the elements are metals and the rest are non-metals. Metals show the properties of metals are just opposite to that of the non-metals. And metals and non-metals which are daily used. The most common metal that is coming to our use is iron, most commonly used metal. It is used in making big structures like, in fact, the railways, bridges, and etc. And then as well as used for the smallest one, the oil pins, the safety pins, and etc. are made up of steel, which is an alloy of iron. The next comes aluminum and copper, which are household items. Aluminum utensils are widely used in the kitchens, and copper is also brass utensils are used. Then comes gold and silver, which are costly one and which are used in the making of jewelries and pretty costly one. So these are the metals which we commonly use in our day-to-day life. Then the metals like titanium, chromium, manganese, and zirconium. These are called strategic elements, strategic metals, because they are very essential for the country's economy and development. You know that all these defense equipments, their main parts are made up of these metals. Titanium, chromium, manganese, and zirconium. So these metals are on a strategic elements which are needed for the safety purpose of the country in the defense sector. Jet engines, high-grade steels, and etc. Then comes non-metals. You know that the most commonly used non-metal by the plants and animals are oxygen, which are essential for our life. Then comes carbon, then comes sulfur. Sulfur is mostly used in the manufacture of sulfuric acid, which is known as king of chemicals. Understood? Coming back to this common electronic configuration, as we have studied in 9th standard, the electronic configuration of elements like metals have got their valence electron less than 4, so they can lose these electrons. That is why we say metals are electropositive. And non-metals have their valence electrons more than 4. That means they have the tendency to gain electrons. Therefore, we say they are electronic. Non-metals by losing electron becomes electropositive one, and metals. And non-metals by gaining electron, they become electronegative. Now, physical properties. As I told you earlier, most of the metals are solid at room temperature except mercury, which is liquid at room temperature. Then there are certain metals whose melting point is lower than the room temperature or lower than the atmospheric temperature. For example, cesium has lower melting point. It is around 30 degrees Celsius and our body temperature is 33 degrees Celsius. So this metal will melt when it is placed on your palm. This was asked in the board examination. Then metals are lustrous and can be polished. Lustrous means by rubbing the surface, the metal surface gets polished. Suppose like, you know that how this gold is polished to get that shiny surface, silver is polished, or even any metal which is rubbed against any hard surface, the external coating of the metal gets removed and it becomes shiny. That is where they can be lustrous and can be polished. Any metal can be polished. Whereas mostly, you know, when a metal is taken or we get it from the market, the metal may not be having a shiny surface because the metal gets reacted with atmospheric reactants, maybe oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other things, and forming a compound. So that shiny nature of metal normally is not seen just because of this reason. And metals are hard. Most of the metals are very hard, except few metals, lithium, sodium, potassium. Lithium, sodium, potassium are very soft and they can be cut by the knife. And these metals, remember, they are soft and they are lighter than water. So most of the metals are heavier than water, whereas these metals are lighter than water, therefore it floats on the surface of water. Understood it? So potassium, lithium, sodium, these can be cut by a knife because they are so soft. And all these metals are soft and they float on the surface of water. Then metals are malleable. Malleability is a property by which the metal can be beaten into thin sheets. When a metal is hammered, it gets converted into sheets without breaking. So, and that property is known as malleability. So, metals are malleable as well as ductile. The ductility is the property of elements such that it can be drawn into wires, and malleability is the property by which it can be beaten into sheets. So when a metal is hammered, it gets converted into sheet, that is malleability, and drawn into wires. So any metal which is malleable, which is equally ductile also, but the ductility and malleability will be different. Mostly we can say that noble metals, gold, silver, platinum, are highly malleable as well as highly ductile. Understood? There are properties. And all metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, except few. Few in the sense that lead is a poor conductor of heat. Mercury, they say, that is also a poor conductor of heat. And most iron has got lesser conductivity. That means its conductivity of electricity is rather less. And that's the metals are good conductors of electricity. High densities. High densities means we can say that these lower elements like lithium, sodium, potassium, these are lower density, therefore they float on the surface of water. The smaller the atomic size, greater is the size of the metal atom. Understood it? So magnesium, aluminum, titanium are used in construction purpose because they are light metals. They are commonly used in transportation equipment. High melting and boiling point they have it. They are strong. They are sonorous. Sonorous is a property by which when a metal is beaten, it produces a characteristic metallic sound. You know that when a non-metal is struck, some type of sound is produced, and when a metal is produced, some kind of sound is produced. There is a difference in the sound. So the sound produced when a metal is struck is known as sonorous. So metals are sonorous. Understood? Say for example, you take steel glass and strike it with any object, and it will be producing a characteristic sound. And instead of that, you take any other material and you strike it, the sound produced will be different. So we say that metals are sonorous. And the non-metals has property just opposite to that of this one. For example, non-metals are solid, liquid, and gaseous at room temperature. And remember, only one liquid non-metal, that is bromine. The rest of the non-metals are either gases or solid. Solid non-metals like carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, iodine, etc. And gaseous one, you know, the hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine, chlorine, fluorine, all inert gases. Non-metals are non-lustrous and cannot be polished. Non-metals are generally soft, except diamond, which is the allotropic form of carbon, which is very solid, hardest natural substance. Brittle non-metals are non-ductile, bad conductors of heat and electricity, low densities, low melting and boiling point. And so we can remember the properties of metals, and its opposite is applicable for that of the non-metals, except cases as I told you earlier. Non-metals have a tendency to gain electron, therefore they are electronegative. Coming back, some exceptions, this one. Mercury is liquid at room temperature, high melting point. Gallium and cesium has got low melting point. Hard and sodium, potassium are very soft. Non-metals are shiny, but iodine is shiny, and non-metal soft. Diamond is hard. So these are the differences. Understood? Now coming back to the main topic, the physical properties of metals. Physical properties of metals. Metals generally form electropositive ions, so they have the tendency to lose electron. Understood it? So therefore, whenever its reaction takes place, it will be transferring its electrons to the other one. Say for example, magnesium when burns in oxygen, we get magnesium oxide. Magnesium has got 2 valence electrons to be lost, and oxygen needs 2 electrons to complete the octet. So magnesium is transferring its electron to oxygen, therefore thereby forming magnesium oxide. So any metal, those of the reactive one, few metals which don't react with oxygen. Say for example, copper, gold, silver, platinum, these metals are known as noble metals, which do not react, whereas other metals will react with oxygen provided the condition is different. Sodium metal is stored in kerosene oil. Like what I told you, sodium, lithium, potassium, all these metals are stored in kerosene oil. The reason is, if not, they react with oxygen, and in fact that leads to these metals will be catching fire. Understood it clearly? Sodium, this was a question of sodium is stored in kerosene oil. Why give reason? You say that sodium is highly reactive, therefore it is stored in kerosene oil, full mark will not be given. Sodium reacts with oxygen. In fact, it burns in oxygen. Sodium burns in atmospheric oxygen to form sodium oxide. Therefore, it is stored in kerosene oil. Whereas, you know that magnesium ribbon, you must have seen in the lab when it is taken out, it has got a grayish coating over it. But if you leave the magnesium in the atmosphere, it does not burn. So we need not store magnesium in kerosene oil. Iron will be getting rusted it when it is left in the air, but it does not burn. Whereas if sodium, potassium, and lithium are kept open in the atmosphere, they get oxidized and that will lead to their combustion. They will burn. That's the reason they are stored in kerosene. Understood it clearly? And metals are basic in nature. That means the oxides of metal. We remember oxides are of three types: acidic oxide, basic oxide, and neutral oxide. Acidic oxides are non-metallic oxide which when dissolved in water to produce acid. Basic oxides are metallic oxide which when dissolved in water we get bases. And some oxides are neutral. Simplest example is SuO is neutral. Understood? So metallic oxides are basic oxide because they get dissolved in water to produce bases. And non-metallic oxides are acidic oxide because when these oxides are dissolved in water, we get acids. Understood clearly? So sodium burns in oxygen to produce sodium oxide. And when the sodium oxide is dissolved in water, put in water, we get sodium hydroxide. And that is what I had explained earlier, dancing sodium. Sodium is a metal which is lighter than water. So when you put sodium in water, it will float. And that will react with water to produce sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen. The release of hydrogen will make the metal to jump up down. Jump up down means that is what it is known as dancing sodium. Whereas if you put magnesium, when it is put into hot water, it reacts and producing magnesium oxide. But magnesium does not dance. Why it does not dance? When magnesium is put into water, magnesium is a heavier metal. Magnesium is a heavier metal, so that will sink in water. And you can see bubbles of hydrogen gets released. And what makes sodium to dance? Sodium is lighter than water, therefore sodium floats on the surface of water. The reaction of sodium with water to produce sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. The release of hydrogen will make the metal to lift up. So that will make it dancing sodium. Understood? Not only sodium dances, potassium, lithium, all these metals which are lighter than water also will be dancing in water. Understood it clearly? These metals, lithium, sodium, potassium are combustible. They burn in air. Potassium will burn with a purple color, sodium will a golden yellow color is produced. Now that is about the reaction of metals with oxygen. So some will be reacting like sodium react with cold air, magnesium, you will burn magnesium ribbon when you are in 9th standard. The strip of magnesium, you put it near the flame, it burns. And then Fe will be reacting when it is red hot. This is an important reaction. When Fe is heated red hot and introduced in a jar containing oxygen, then it will be forming Fe3O4, that is known as ferroferric oxide or Fe23 oxide. Ferroferric oxide is produced and which is also known as magnetite. So if a question is asked, how would you arrange sodium, magnesium, Fe and copper in a descending order chemical reactivity by making it react with oxygen? So sodium readily burns in oxygen to produce sodium oxide, most reactive. Magnesium, when it is heated, it reacts with oxygen to produce magnesium oxide, that is on Pt. And Fe will be reacted with oxygen when Fe is heated red hot and introduced into oxygen gas. And likewise, if copper has low reactivity, so if copper is also heated at high temperature, it will be reacting. Understood clearly? Silver and gold do not react with oxygen even though whatever is the temperature. This is how we arrange these metals in the ascending or descending order of chemical reaction. Similarly, how would you arrange these metals by making them react with water? So what can we say that sodium reacts with cold water, magnesium reacts with hot water, Fe reacts with steam, understood it? And that's some other we can arrange them. So see, when the reactivity of the metal is going down, the temperature of water is going up. Like sodium is highly reactive, therefore cold water. Magnesium is reactive, it is hot water. Fe is still lesser reactive, we use steam, and in that method it is being arranged. But remember, aluminum does not react. We use aluminum containers for the kitchen purposes. In cooking purposes, we are commonly using aluminum. What makes aluminum to be put into use? This is a simple reason. Aluminum, when gets reacted with that oxygen to produce an oxide. In fact, what happens when aluminum metal is extracted? When aluminum metal is extracted, the industrialists or the metallurgists will make a coating of aluminum oxide over it. They make it to react with concentrated H2SO4. And when that aluminum metal is made to react with concentrated H2SO4, it develops a coating of aluminum oxide. And that aluminum oxide in chemistry, what they say, it is passive. That does not react with anything at all. So that's the reason why we are using aluminum containers for cooking purpose. We cannot, Fe is a metal which is lower in the activity series than aluminum. Fe is still lesser reactive. But we are not using Fe container for the kitchen purposes, cooking purposes, because when if Fe is used and heated with water, Fe will react with water and the rusting will take place. That will be oxidized. Whereas aluminum does not get oxidized due to its coating Al2O3. And Al2O3 prevents the rest of the reactions. So that is the reason why aluminum containers are most commonly used. This is a question which is likely to be asked. Aluminum is a metal which is more reactive than Fe, then how come we are using aluminum containers in the kitchen? Understood it? What answer? It has got a coating of aluminum oxide over it, and that prevents the oxidation of the further metal. Therefore, it is prevented. Whereas, when this aluminum metal has got it oxide or Fe has got it oxide, it all will react with diluted acid to produce salt and water. We have studied in that first chapter, second chapter, acids and salt. When any metallic oxide, whether it is copper oxide or whether it is silver sulfide, any compound of metal, whether it is highly reactive or less reactive, because it is a salt or a compound. And when a compound, every compounds will react with diluted acid. Now we have studied it, copper does not react with diluted acid, whereas copper reacts with only concentrated SO2. If the copper has got a coating of copper oxide, understood it? So copper oxide plus diluted SO4, you will be getting copper sulfate plus H2O. That is a question asked in the NCERT book. It is given. A metal is heated strongly and it develops a black coating over it. And that black coating is made to react with diluted SO4. What would be your observation? Or it might be mentioned that a blue solution was obtained. And remember, a salt which is bluish in color is copper salts. Understood it? So in case if you are using SO4, then the salt is copper sulfate. And in case if you are using HCl, then the salt is copper chloride. So remember that. Copper does not react with diluted acid, whereas copper oxide reacts, because when a metallic oxide is reacted by an acid, we get salt and water. That is what is produced. Understood clearly? So metals may or may not react with diluted acid, but their salts, their compounds will definitely react with acids. Understood it? Then zinc oxide, aluminum oxide, these are known as amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxides are oxides of zinc or aluminum which react with acid as well as alkalis to produce salt. So you can write on it. Zinc oxide reacts with SO4, then we will be getting zinc sulfate and H2O. And zinc oxide reacts with NaOH, then we will be getting Na2ZnO2, sodium zincate plus H2O. So what is this? What are amphoteric oxide? What answer? Oxides of elements like zinc, aluminum, they get reacted with acid as well as alkalis to produce salt and water. And such type of oxides are known as amphoteric oxide. So zinc oxide is an amphoteric oxide. Aluminum oxide is also an example of amphoteric oxide. Remember that term is important. Remember, metalloids are elements. Metals, non-metals, metalloids. We have studied in logs classes. Metalloids are those elements which show the properties of metal as well as non-metals. Whereas oxides of some element which react with acid as well as base forming salt and water are known as amphoteric oxide. Example, zinc oxide, aluminum oxide. Zinc oxide plus SO4 will be getting zinc sulfate plus water. Zinc oxide plus NaOH will be getting sodium zincate, Na2ZnO2 plus H2O, that is sodium zincate. Understood? Aluminum oxide plus SO4 will be getting aluminum sulfate plus H2O. Aluminum oxide plus NaOH will be getting NaAlO2, sodium aluminate plus H2O. So these are, remember these two terms. Understood it? Zinc oxide and aluminum oxides are known as amphoteric oxides. Alright? Then that is what we have studied it. Reaction of metals with diluted acids, we have done it. And then CRT, there is an activity series given. You must study in the same order what is being given. Sodium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, Fe. So that activity series is important. Understood it? And if a question is how do we arrange these metals in the, or how this activity series is being made? In the metal activity series, what is mostly commonly taking place is The metal which is more reactive displaces the metal which is less reactive. The metal which is more reactive displaces the metal which is less reactive. So potassium comes first, then sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, Fe, nickel, tin, lead, and hydrogen. Hydrogen has a place in between that metal activity series. Remember, hydrogen is the only non-metal which is chemically metallic in nature, because all metals are electropositive and hydrogen is also electropositive. Hydrogen is also electropositive. All metals are electropositive. Hydrogen is also electropositive, therefore it is. Now we are studied in the second chapter or first chapter, reaction displacement. Those metals which are more reactive displaces the less reactive ones. So remember, hydrogen is a non-metal which is metallic, which shows metallic nature. Hydrogen forms electropositive one. So all those metals which are placed above hydrogen, lead, tin, aluminum, sodium, magnesium, or Fe, etc., all these metals get displaced. They displaces hydrogen from diluted acid. Remember the reaction displacement. More reactive metal displaces less reactive metals. Understood? So more reactive metal like magnesium displaces less reactive hydrogen. So there is a reaction of displacement. And all those metals which are below hydrogen cannot displace. Copper, mercury, silver, platinum, gold, these are lesser reactive. They cannot displace. Now remember, whenever it is said that this is the reaction of metals with diluted acid, remember that all those metals which are above hydrogen will react with diluted acid and displace hydrogen, and below will not displace hydrogen. Remember, but don't just say that they will not react with acids. Understood? Reaction displacement will not be taking place. Like when copper is made to react with concentrated H2SO4, we get copper sulfate plus H2O plus sulfur dioxide. Understood it? So copper is a metal which is below hydrogen, so copper cannot displace hydrogen. Whereas copper gets reacted with concentrated H2SO4 and HNO3, different products are obtained. Understood it? It was told you earlier. When a metal is made to react with concentrated H2SO4, then we'll be getting the respective salt and water plus sulfur dioxide. Supposedly, if Mg is put into concentrated H2SO4, we get magnesium sulfate, H2O plus SO2. And when magnesium is put into diluted H2SO4, we get MgSO4 and hydrogen is a gas. Understood clearly? Then comes, if copper is made to react with concentrated HNO3, we get copper nitrate plus H2O plus NO2. And when magnesium is put into concentrated HNO3, same product, similar product, MgNO3 voltage plus NO2 plus H2O. Remember, understood clearly? So when a metal reacts with concentrated acid, we'll be getting salt, water, and the respective non-metallic oxide. And when it is reacted with diluted acid, there is a displacement of hydrogen if the metal is above hydrogen. Understood it well? Okay. Among these activity series, what I mentioned is potassium is most reactive and platinum is the least reactive. The metals, the top activity series are very, and therefore they do not occur free in nature. All those metals like up to nickel till lead, we will not be having in nature as metals. We'll be getting, that the metals are found in nature in elementary state as well as in the combined form. So all these elements are found in the combined form, means in the form of compounds. Now coming back to the chemical properties of nonmetals, we know that nonmetals are electronegative in nature. So nonmetal combine with oxygen to form nonmetallic oxide, which will dissolve in water to produce acid. So nonmetallic oxides are acidic oxide and metallic oxides are basic oxide. Understood it? Then nonmetals do not react with water. As far as this reaction is concerned, the nonmetals don't react with diluted acid, whereas they get reacted with concentrated acid. Understood it? Solid nonmetals, sulfur, phosphorus, carbon, etc. gets reacted with concentrated H2SO4 or HNO3 that we have studied in the reaction of redox. The nonmetal get oxidized to its acid and the metal gets, the acid will be getting reduced to its nonmetallic oxide. All right.